The foreseen arcade. Active.
Achievement hunting can be a real hoot, especially if you're on RetroAchievements. As part of a 4th DevJam event, we will be looking at all the arcade games that received sets during that time. Now, let's see if I have enough quarters to sample each and every game in this coin-up buffet. We begin this video with the oldest game to come out of the arcade DevJam in form of Hustle, developed by Gremlin and published by Taito. Released in 1977, the same year as the Atari 2600 and Commodore PET, it's a snake-like game where you try to get as many points as you can within 90 seconds. The faster you reach it, the more points you'll get. There are 3 options pertaining to your targets: a normal game where target values don't change, a countdown where the value slowly falls, and a count up where values slowly climb and delaying can increase your score. With a game being this old and simple, it's not hard to see why this one has the least amount of points, as it only has 6 achievements worth 25 points. All you need to do to beat this one is to finish the game with at least 15,000 points, though the mastery will be a bit tricky, as you need to reach 19,000 points as well as scoring 10,000 points without getting a penalty. Another game released around the late 70s, next is Radarscope, which was Nintendo's own take on the Space Invaders / Galaxian formula. While the game was successful in Japan, the same cannot be said for the game's US release, which put Nintendo's American division at risk. But Radarscope still remains one of the most important games in Nintendo's history, as it led to the creation of Donkey Kong, all in an attempt to salvage the countless unsold arcade boards after its financial failure. The set has 9 achievements worth 70 points, and to get the beaten status, you need to clear all 3 attack missions. Other tasks are score related, and one of them asks you to score 5,000 points without losing a life. Developed by Stern Electronics in 1980, this game has you shooting robots in each room, all while being pursued by Evil Otto. With its addictive gameplay and digitally recorded dialogue,
Chicken, fight like a robot.
Berzerk became such a massive success, it not only led to a sequel and ports to the Atari 2600, 5200 and Vectrex, but also inspired a song, a Milton Bradley board game, and a rather disturbing urban legend. The coin-up Berzerk has 10 achievements worth 64 points, and reaching a score of 9,000 should be enough to get the beaten status. But to master this one, you need to score 19,000 points, as well as clearing 5 rooms of enemies in one playthrough. To anyone willing to master it, please remember to take regular breaks and stay hydrated, since you can pause arcade games with the escape key to open the achievement list on RA Libretro, or pressing the P key on RetroArch. That way, you won't fall victim to the curse of Evil Otto. Next up is the first appearance of a Namco game in this DevJam video, in form of Kaitei Takara Sagashi. Also known as Shark Treasure, this arcade game from 1980 by KK Toki has you controlling a ship and a diver. The ship floats on the water, and at the right time, the diver descends into the water. The diver has to watch out for sharks and has harpoons for hunting. The diver descends to the bottom of a sea to get the treasures, then he needs to get back on board the boat. This one has 7 achievements worth a nice 69 points, with the beat condition requiring you to collect all treasures on the 3rd pattern. Other tasks include obtaining a score of 5000, collecting all treasures in the 1st pattern with no more than 650 points, and completing the first 2 patterns without losing a life. Sticking with Namco for a bit, next is New Rally X, released in 1981. Serving as a sequel to Rally X, it offers an easier experience than the original, as you once again control a blue racing car in a maze using a top-down perspective. Like in the original, the goal is to collect all flags on each stage while avoiding the red cars. You can leave a trail of smoke to stop the red cars temporarily, but be careful not to overdo it, as it will use up the fuel that slowly depletes with time. Besides a special flag that doubles the points of all remaining flags, and a lucky flag that awards you points for your remaining fuel, New Rally X features new courses, adjustments to enemy cars, new graphics, and a new catchy background music. This one has 14 achievements worth 129 points, with the beat condition requiring you to complete round 14 and advancing to the 4th challenging stage. Other tasks involve completing rounds 1 to 10 without losing a life, completing the first 2 rounds without using the smoke screen, and obtaining up to 160,000 points. Unlike the other offerings from Data East that we will be seeing as part of the Arcade DevJam, 18 Holes Pro Golf was distributed using their own Deco cassette system. That meant that while other arcade games start almost immediately after turning the machine on, Deco cassette system titles had a lengthy load time anytime the machine is booted up. And anyone who grew with the ZX Spectrum, VIC-20 or the Commodore 64 can definitely relate. However, the trade-off was that this allowed arcade cabinets to easily be reused for multiple games, as swapping a game simply meant swapping a cassette rather than the entire board inside the machine. Released in 1981, 18 Holes Pro Golf challenges you to take on the 18-hole course and beat each hole inside a stroke limit in order to proceed to the next hole. Offering rudimentary controls where you can change the angle of a shot and select your power from a flashing, sliding scale, the game will automatically select the best club for your shot and has all the features you'd expect on a golf course, such as bunkers, rough, trees, and water traps. All of these will need to be negotiated if you're going to sink your putt inside the shot allowance. This one has 9 achievements worth 64 points, and to beat this one, you need to complete the 9th hole in the 1st pattern. Other challenges include completing the 2nd pattern, completing the 1st pattern with 30 strokes or less, as well as scoring a birdie, an eagle, and a hole-in-one respectively. While a majority of titles from Taito Corporation were Japanese in origin, our next game as part of the Arcade DevJam, Kicks, was developed by their American division. In this game, you guide a marker which must draw rectangles and other weird objects in order to claim your territory, and you can either draw these rectangles fast or slow. Drawing the rectangles using the slow method awards you the most points. Once a rectangle has been made, it will be colored in to show that you have claimed your territory. While drawing the rectangles, you need to watch out for kicks, a series of colored lines that crawl the screen, the sparks that travel around the border, including any lines you have made, as well as the fuse, who travels along the line you are drawing. Once you have claimed enough territory, you proceed to the next level. With 13 achievements worth 154 points, you need to complete all 4 levels for the beaten condition, while mastery requirements include beating all said levels without losing a life, beating a level with 2 lines or less, reaching the spark's ultimate power and quantity, and splitting the kicks 3 times, and reaching a ×4 multiplier. Our next game is one of the 3 arcade titles that weren't distributed as actual cabinets, but instead were released as conversion kits. Conversion kits allowed arcade operators to keep existing cabinets for games that had declined in popularity and simply swap out components like the internal circuit boards, control panel, and marquee art. This was a very cost-effective approach that allowed operators to refresh their game selection without having to spend large amounts of money, time, and effort of getting rid of old cabinets. Pac-Man Plus, released in 1982, was one of those games. It was released as a conversion kit for the original Pac-Man, and like Miss Pac-Man before it, it was produced by Bally Midway without Namco's permission. Gameplay is nearly identical to the original, but the game, however, features new gimmicks that make the game harder, such as faster speed, disappearing mazes, and invisible enemies. This conversion kit has 20 achievements worth 185 points, and besides clearing round 14, other tasks include eating food items, eating all 4 ghosts with 1 power-up, and clearing round 14 on hard, with all settings set on default. Developed by Orca Corporation, Funky Bee is a vertical scrolling shooter where you control a honeybee who flies from one flower to another. The game has many obstacles, mainly trees and various bugs. The bee can shoot them using a stinger, but it can only shoot one at a time. With 11 achievements worth 76 points, the set itself is pretty straightforward, as it mainly has achievements related to points and rounds. Beating the set asks you to clear round 10, while mastery will require you to score up to 120,000 points. In this early title from Tecmo, who were known as Tekhan at the time, Swimmer has you swimming up a river avoiding obstacles by either dodging them or diving under them while picking up fruit along the way for score. A bonus score is awarded at the end of a level based on the fruit you collected. Obstacles come in the form of logs and other swimming critters, and at the end of each level there is a giant crab that has to be avoided to go to the next level. With 18 achievements worth 172 points, the main goal is to beat round 4, while mastery requires you to get a full end of a loop bonus for collecting 4 fruits of each kind, eating crabs, water bugs, and fish during one super mode session, finishing the first round without diving or dying, and earning at least 10,000 points. Developed by Sigma Enterprises, Ponpoko has you playing as a tanuki traversing around a pattern, walking and jumping on platforms, climbing ladders, dodging enemy caterpillars, and collecting foodstuffs before time runs out. There are also mystery pots which may either contain a bonus item or a deadly snake. Each new pattern adds more enemies and a more difficult layout. And if you make a contact with an enemy, fall down from a great height, or hit the deck from starvation, you end up losing a life. The set for Ponpoko has 14 achievements worth 107 points, and like Funky Bee, it's pretty straightforward, with the main beat condition requiring you to clear all levels by collecting food items, from carrots to beer, with other achievements for mastery asking you to score up to 120,000 points. Black Widow, released in 1982, was another game that was sold as a conversion kit rather than a full arcade cabinet. In this case, the kit was used specifically for Gravatar cabinets, after it turned out that it didn't sell as well as the folks at Atari hoped it would. And considering that game's difficulty was so brutal, to the point that its own designers couldn't beat it without cheating, who can blame them? Of course, there were other games I know that were released exclusively as conversion kits, such as Cloak and Dagger, loosely based on the Universal movie of the same name, and Lost Tomb, which was another title from Stern Electronics. Black Widow is often considered to be a pioneer of what we call a twin-stick shooter, where you move with a left joystick and shoot in any direction with the right joystick. Your web is attacked by other bugs, and you have to either shoot them or avoid them. Avoiding them means leaving them to the bug slayer, a creature that's harmless to you but is invulnerable and competes with you. After it defeats a bug, you can go after its prey and steal its points. Black Widow has 15 achievements worth 242 points, with the main beat condition asking you to clear wave 60, starting from the first wave. Other achievements include clearing wave 60 on factory settings, earning 300,000 points starting from wave 21 or lower, having 6 lives at once, clearing waves without attacking, and clearing waves starting from wave 21 with the difficulty set on hard. Hey, it's that one game I talked about in my Retro Achievements wishlist video, which was also my first chatty video I have done. This one needs no other explanation or introduction. You take control of Mappy, a police mouse, and your job is to collect valuables that were stolen by the boss cat Goro and his henchmen, the Meowkies. What else is there for me to say? Well, I could certainly tell you a rather funny story about it. Apparently, the name Mappy is believed to be derived from a derogatory Japanese slang term for a policeman, but no one has actually said that in official means. Particularly since the word in question also has an alternative, obsolete meaning that refers to a very specific part of a human body. Anyway, the set has 25 achievements worth 245 points, with the main beat condition requiring you to clear level 16. Besides Deathless and Score challenges, you also have achievements for surviving the Goro coin for 45 seconds, getting a perfect bonus on levels 3, 7, 11, and 15, beating the 5th level without eliminating any Meowkies, and beating the 2nd level by never going back down to a floor you were already on. Developed by the Spanish software house Itiza Electronics, Botanic has you controlling a yellow caterpillar that moves in 4 main directions within 3 grids with branching paths. The goal is to guide it towards leaves to eat them, while avoiding enemies like mantises, spiders, and bats. While eating a leaf, the caterpillar may unexpectedly find itself faced with a crossroad or an interruption in a path, or basically a dead end. Once it eats all 60 leaves in a stage, the caterpillar must be led to a tent where it will transform into a butterfly and fly away with its mate. Botanic is a pretty obscure arcade game, as other than a page on the Italian version of Wikipedia, there isn't that much information on this game. Heck, Botanic isn't even on Moby Games. This one has 10 achievements worth 68 points, with the main beat condition asking you to clear level 5. Besides reaching a score of 80,000 points, you also have a missable achievement where you need to score 10,000 points without losing a life. Next up is another early Tecmo arcade game, as well as a game that was previously featured on the SG-1000 DevJam. If you recall that video, I mentioned that Guzzler only ever saw a home release on the Offalo Multivision, a licensed clone of the SC-3000 computer, which uses the same hardware as the SG-1000. While the Offalo Multivision port had 18 achievements worth 125 points, the original arcade game has 26, all worth 169 points. Besides clearing the full 15-round loop, you also need to collect liquor for bonus points, beating the default top score of 30,000, breaking the 100,000 point barrier, finishing the first round in under 25 seconds without dying, spelling Guzzler to get the double point bonus, and letting Guzzler generate its own water after running out. And just like clockwork, we now get to another game that was previously featured on the SG-1000 DevJam. To give you a refresher, the aim of Bank Panic is to protect a bank from bandits while taking care not to shoot innocent customers who are looking to deposit their money. Shoot a bandit too early and you'll only get a few points. If you get shot by a bandit, take too long to shoot the dynamite, or shoot any customers by mistake, you lose a life. The arcade version of Bank Panic has 17 achievements worth 170 points, making its mastery a lot more valuable compared to both SG-1000 and Master System ports. While beating this one requires you to clear 12 rounds, you also have to beat the rounds without losing a life, reach a score of 300,000, stopping a bomb at the last second, spelling out extra for a free life, and finishing any round without either losing a life or shooting a bandit unfairly. Based on the third film in the original trilogy, Return of a Jedi was developed by Atari, though unlike the previous two Star Wars arcade games, this one does away with the vector graphics. Return of a Jedi did receive home computer conversions 4 years after its debut, but only the arcade version has a set, since none of the other computers are supported at the moment, while the Amstrad CPC port, developed by Console Software Limited, is not listed on the RetroAchievements database. The set itself has 14 achievements worth 108 points, with the main beat condition requiring you to clear each of the 3 sequences and destroy the Death Star and escape on stage 3. Other challenges include completing stage 5 or the hard difficulty, destroying and escaping the Death Star twice on a single credit, scoring 200,000 points, as well as playing chicken with chicken walkers by destroying all 3 AT-STs during a single phase without losing a life. In this obscure Sega arcade game, Spatter, you play as a boy on a tricycle named Sanren Sanchan, aka Tricycle San, riding around a track surrounding a castle suspended in the sky, collecting flowers and dodging go-karts, toy bulldozers, robots, etc., or by knocking them off the track, all across 100 rounds. There are bonus stages that switch from the overhead view to a platform side view, where the object is to, while dodging droplets, jump up to the girl on the top platform and give her your flowers. This set has 46 achievements worth 246 points, and outside the main beat condition of clearing all 100 rounds, Mastery involves collecting all 10 items on all 25 bonus stages, knocking out 20 enemies in one stage or life, finding and collecting a 100k bonus on a blue box, getting 5 lives, and getting an 800 point bonus by collecting all the flowers on stage with a single life. A sequel to the classic Namco arcade game, Dig Dug 2 is played from an overhead point of view, and now you have two weapons at your disposal. The first is an air pump, and the second is a drill. The pump can be used to inflate and destroy the enemies the same way as in the original Dig Dug. At various locations on the islands are stakes, and when the drill is used near a stake, a crack will form. If enough cracks become connected, that section of the island will fall into the ocean, hopefully taking an enemy with it. Just make sure you don't fall into the ocean yourself by mistake. At least it's easier to follow and more coherent than any Kingdom Hearts game, that's for sure. The set itself has 22 achievements worth 180 points, which is somewhat less valuable than the set for the NES port, which has 310 points. Besides beating round 32, Mastery requires you to collect all fruit and veggies, and a pina colada, completing 5 rounds in a row without losing a life, completing 3 consecutive rounds by only using the drill and pump respectively, and reaching a score of 80,000 points. Since Dig Dug and its sequel are part of Namco's unified United Galaxy Space Force timeline, which shares the same universe as Galaga, Xevious, and Ace Combat, among others, I have read that Dig Dug 2 takes place in the year 2383, which unfolds around the midpoint of the timeline's overall narrative, and 2 years before the arcade game Baraduke, aka Alien Sector, which stars Taizo's estranged wife Masuyo Kisi Tobi, which the timeline also reveals they're the parents of Susumu Hori, the main hero of Mr. Thriller, which takes place 11 years after Bokutotsu Kichute, a sequel to Baraduke. I swear, I am not making any of this up. Look up the timeline on the internet and see for yourself. Now that I mentioned Baraduke, that's our next game on the video. Known in the West as Alien Sector, Baraduke is an action shooter game where you move around in a low gravity environment with the help of a jetpack as you investigate the once peaceful planet Packet, which has been overtaken by aliens known as Octi. The game consists of 8 stages. Each stage is split up into 6 floors, with 5 regular floors and a boss floor. In the first 4 floors in each stage, you must clear the floor of Octi. Then you can exit a level through a chute located at the outside walls of a level. In the second last floor, there are no Octi, but lots of capsules, which can hold one of the 4 things. A yellow coin object which gives you 100 points, a ray gun that increases the gun level by 1, a packet which can earn you extra shields in the end of floor bonus games, or the Bagan, which is a Pac-Man-like creature that will attack you. The set has 21 achievements worth 240 points, with the main beat condition requiring you to defeat the Octi King and save Packet Planet. Other achievements include earning 20,000 points or more, upgrading your blasters, completing World 2 without dying, having 7 shields at once, and having your initials flashing rainbow colors while entering them on a high scoreboard. As the third game in the Space Invaders series, Return of the Invaders is a more radical change from the original concept than Part 2, and features an all-new color look. There are several new features in the game. Most noticeable are the additions of new enemy formations, seen already in the first wave where the aliens circle around. Some aliens also, when shot, leave their positions and dive toward you. Others can reflect your shots and send them back against you. The game also adds bonus stages similar to Galaga. Another new addition is that the UFOs at the top of the screen now carry weapon upgrades, which they drop when shot. To get it, you need to avoid shooting the center of the UFO, as both the UFO and the weapon will be destroyed. This one has 15 achievements worth 105 points, and its speed condition requires you to clear stage 15. Other challenges include destroying the Zikon mothership worth 10k, 20k, and 30k respectively, earning 160,000 points, collecting power-ups, defeating 40 bonus invaders in one challenging stage, and earning the 1600 or 10k point bonus from shooting non-bonus invaders falling off screen 20 times. Developed by Technos Japan and published by Taito, Mania Exciting Hour is a wrestling game and a spiritual successor to tag team wrestling. You control a wrestler in a televised event broadcast by the fictional Taito Wrestling Association, or Technos Wrestling Association in the Japanese version, and you have to compete against 5 opponents in a fixed order: Insane Warrior, Karate Fighter, Coco Savage, the Piranha, and Golden Hulk, or as he's known in his Japanese version, Blues Bloody. When the 5 fights are completed and you successfully get a championship belt, you're presented with a ceremony, and then the 5 fighters needed to be defeated again, but then drawn in a random order. With 12 achievements worth 123 points, it's yet another straightforward set, as beating this one requires you to defeat Golden Hulk, or Blues Bloody, but mastering this one also includes beating the second loop, winning the world title with a count-out victory, winning a match by successfully hitting the flying crossbody to pin move, and wrestling up a score of 100k points. Sticking with sports games, we have another arcade game that doesn't have a page on Moby Games. Jump Shot is a basketball arcade game that was released by Bally Midway in 1985. Using an 8-way joystick with 2 buttons for shooting and blocking, the aim is to get as many points as you can before the timer runs out. It's a simple game that doesn't have much else to say, and with a game this simple, this one only has 6 achievements worth 30 points. Beating this one requires you to win a 2, 3 or 4 minute single player game, while mastery will involve winning with a lead of 10 points or more, winning without being blocked, and scoring from the bottom half of a court. In this early title from SNK, which was running on their Triple Z80 arcade board, you take the role of Athena, the goddess of wisdom who has grown tired of her life within the castle and ventures into the fantasy world beyond the castle walls. Strange and fearsome creatures will attack at every turn, but weapons can be found along the way: a ball and chain, a bow and arrow, and a mighty sword. Put on wings and take to the sky, or become a mermaid to explore ocean depths. Athena was later resurrected by SNK for appearances in several games in the King of Fighters series, as well as the Neo Geo Pocket title SNK Chaos Fighters. The arcade version, with 44 achievements worth 519 points, is the only version of Athena to have a set, as there are no achievement sets for neither the NES port or the PSP Minis release. While completing all worlds is required for the beat condition, you also have achievements for equipping war armor and weapons, collecting special items, getting the maximum of 40 life points, scoring 300k points before the final boss, completing each world without using protective gear, and finishing the game without dying once. Released in 1986, Rolling Thunder tasks you with stopping an underground conspiracy to conquer the world and to save Agent Leela, who has been captured. Starting out armed with only a handgun, you have to make your way through heavily guarded hallways and secret passages to find Leela and stop the enemy. Now, my first experience with this game was when I played it as part of a Namco Museum battle collection for the PSP. And if I'm gonna be honest, I sucked at it. Really bad. With 21 achievements worth 366 points, which is nearly half as many points as the NES port, the beat condition requires you to beat both stories, lasting 10 areas altogether. Other achievements include scoring 100,000 points, holding on to 255 or more regular bullets, well, better safe than sorry, as well as clearing Story 1 areas as fast as possible and firing a limited number of bullets. Perhaps the hardest achievements are Unstoppable Albatross and Undefeatable Albatross, worth 50 and 100 points respectively, as they require you to clear both stories without using a continue, all with default DIP switch settings. Developed by Dynasoft in 1986, Big Buck's Trivia Quest can be described as a simple version of Second Chance or Press Your Luck. And playing it today, this trivia game is woefully outdated. The answers in the sports category were questionably sourced, with some being just plain wrong, even in 1986. The world records one happens to be full of horse, and the adult affairs category is especially painful thanks to the sheer magnitude of how wrong, incorrect, stupid, and simply not objective facts you're going to deal with. Hell, it's impossible to play this even with Google, given the questions are completely ridiculous, and half the time the answer isn't even correct. I suppose the best thing you can do to answer them is to put yourself in its perspective in 1986, and go with what would have been the answer at that time. There are 14 achievements worth 94 points, with the main beat condition requiring you to not only score at least $20,000 and $100,000 in any category, but also beat the high score in each of the 6 categories. The other half of the 6 categories, in case you are wondering, are Hodgepodge, Entertainment, and Inquisition. The rest of the set basically asks you to break the bank on each of the 6 categories. Oh boy, another trivia game with outdated questions coming up. Developed by Zilek Zenitone, this was released the same year as Big Buck's Trivia Quest, but this one seems to be more geared toward a British audience, as 2 of the categories include Coronation Street and soap operas. You know, the kind of TV dramas that some grandma will be watching in the activity room at a retirement home while no one is looking. Yeah, it's safe to say that anyone who never grew up in the UK will have plenty of headaches with this one. Cash Quiz has 10 achievements worth 55 points. With the exception of a Quizmaster achievement, which asks you to win a single player quiz in any category without getting a question wrong, pretty much all achievements ask you to score 20,000 points on each of the categories we have in the game. Coronation Street, General Knowledge, Motoring, New Soccer Cricket, Pop Music 2, Potluck 1, Screen Entertainment, Soaps, and Sports Time. Moving on from the painfully outdated trivia games, our next game is Gladiator, or as Encore's home computer ports call it, Great Gurianos. In Gladiator, you control a gladiator who must battle through a castle. The game is viewed from the side while the screen scrolls. you control the Gladiator's shield as objects fly toward you. The Gladiator is also able to strike opponents with his sword. There are also icons to collect which boost your armor or give you bonus points. Gladiator has 19 achievements worth 185 points, with the beat condition requiring you to defeat all the opponents up to Gaius. Other achievements include collecting special items, reaching a score of 100,000 points for an extra life, reaching the first battle and defeating your opponent without losing any armor, and completing the game with just 1 credit. Known in Japan as Noboranka, Zippy Bug comes to us from Coreland Technology, who later became the gaming division of Banpresto, when Bandai bought the studio in 1989. Published by Data East, you control as the titular Zippy Bug, who must climb tall trees and find and rescue the princess, who has been kidnapped by the creatures from the insect world. In each stage, you shoot bug-like enemies, collect fruits for points, and avoid deadly skulls. At the end of each stage, you must destroy a spider-like demon in a web to proceed. The set has 9 achievements worth 71 points. Besides beating all the 3 stages, you also have achievements for beating 4 loops in a row without continues, taking off all 8 legs off the spider without shooting the face, scoring at least 100,000 points, and beating stage 3 on the hardest difficulty. Apparently, nobody mastered this set, as only one user managed to get all the achievements in softcore, while only 3 people have beaten this game. As we all know, Darius was Taito's effort to compete in the arcades against the likes of Irem's R-Type and Konami's Gradius. Darius featured 3 screens depicting the largest playfield seen in a game for 1987, with the player sitting atop a big set of loudspeakers. Visibly and audibly, it was a league above Irem's and Konami's offerings, though the console and computer ports couldn't replicate a screen this wide, so Taito and the companies who were tasked with porting the game had to shrink the playfield to a single screen, redubbing it Darius Plus. What sets Darius apart from other shoot-'em-ups of the time is its way of letting you choose your path with a certain amount of freedom. At the end of each area, you are able to choose between one of the 2 worlds which the area branches into. This renders a higher replay value, since there are many paths to reach the end of a game by. Apart from this, the gameplay is on the simplistic side, both due to unimaginative attack waves and little interaction with the surroundings, but mainly due to the very basic power-up system, which is nowhere near the complexity of the aforementioned contemporaries. This one has 40 achievements for 550 points, with the main beat condition requiring you to finish either zones V, W, X, Y, or Z. The rest of the set has achievements for fully upgrading your weapon, bombs, and shield, finishing a zone without using bombs or your main weapon respectively, reaching the boss area without making any points or losing a credit, as well as reaching a score of 600,000 points. And of course, the hard route is the toughest achievement, as it's worth 100 points and it asks you to finish the game while following the A, B, E, I, N, S, Y path. Developed by HAR Management in 1987, Lotto Fun is a redemption game that isn't widely documented online. The game's RNG is all over the place, but what's rather amusing is that the flyer has the audacity to say it's great for banks. Information seems scarce when trying to see if any banks had actually installed one of those Lotto Fun cabinets, but I don't think I will trust any financial institution that had a Lotto machine in a lobby. That's like having one-armed bandits or pachinko machines installed inside the Bank of Ireland. The set for Lotto Fun has 7 achievements worth 50 points, with the main beat condition asking you to match all numbers in choose 3, 4, or 6, while the rest simply is all about matching the required amount of numbers and matching 5 of them in choose 6. Released in 1988 by Capcom, LED Storm is a racing game where you compete against the competition in the futuristic year of 2011. The road scrolls vertically with some moderately sharp bends in a manner similar to Spy Hunter. You have a jump device to clear many jumps or to land onto and flatten the other maniacs who line the road. You must choose which path to follow at outrun-style forks in a road. The roads contain bonus tags including bonus points, a battering ram to make contact with other cars more effective, and energy boosts to replenish damage. If you leave the road, you must replace your car onto it using a directable winch which appears at the appropriate point. This set has 33 achievements worth 107 points, with the beat condition asking you to finish the 9th level at City Sky 009. The other achievements include completing the second loop by finishing level 18 in the same location as the beat condition, beating the best time across 9 areas, reaching 5 million points, and finishing stage 18 with 1 credit in the machine for a somewhat secret credit sequence. A lot of people out there would be more familiar with the original NES game, but in comparison to the better known console version, the arcade Ninja Gaiden is a traditional beat-em up game similar to Double Dragon, in which you walk from left to right while battling numerous enemies. Only if all foes are dispatched of, you can advance in the level. It's also possible to perform special attacks and use weapons. The latter are either collectible power-ups or environmental objects like phone booths. This set has 18 achievements worth 215 points, with the beat condition asking you to clear all 6 rounds on standard settings. Other achievements include clearing rounds without dying, striking an enemy with a sword, performing 5 guillotine throws and 3 aerial sword slashes in a single stage, beating the game without obtaining any swords, and beating the game without consuming any credits after the gameplay begins. Good thing there are no achievements that require a harder difficulty. Serving as a follow-up to Championship Sprint, BadLands takes us to a futuristic post-apocalyptic setting. The races consist of 3 souped-up cars toughing it out over 4 laps on one of the 8 tracks, which are viewed from above. Your car is armed with guns, which can be used to slow opposing cars, and during the races, spatters can be collected, which are then cashed in for upgraded turbos, improved weaponry, and engine upgrades to improve your chances for victory. Hazards on the later tracks include ramps, bridges, buildings collapsing onto the track, and barriers which open and close in a random sequence. With 14 achievements worth 80 points, all you need to do for the beat condition is to finish a race on each track twice and fully upgrading the stats for tires, turbo, and speed. Other challenges include beating the lap time on each track, collecting 2 wrenches in one race, and winning 4 races in a row. For this next game, we take to the skies with G-LOC Air Battle. As a United Nations loyalist, your aim is to shoot down planes and warships that were confiscated by the Citizens Defense Force, who doesn't trust the UN to keep a troubled 21st century world at peace. Each of the 8 stages are split into sub-stages over land and sea, each of which has a strict time limit and a target number of planes to shoot down. They take place from behind your plane, which can be controlled with up referring to climb or dive depending on your preference. You are armed with 10 missiles as well as standard weapons. The plane can take a few hits, so watch the damage report as it goes from red to black. This one has 10 achievements worth 64 points, and the beat condition asks you to clear beginner, medium, and expert missions. Other achievements include clearing the missions with a limited number of credits, clearing the first 3 expert missions with 100% missile accuracy and without using the Vulcan cannon or continues, as well as reaching the bonus level in the expert missions in 2 credits or less. Looks like we have another game that was part of a previous DevJam. This time around is 1941 Counterattack, which you might know from the PC Engine DevJam video as one of the very few games that got released for the ill-fated Super Graphics. Serving as a prequel to 1942, you control a Lockheed P-38 Lightning, while the other player controls a DH-98 Mosquito in co-op, and you have to shoot every enemy airplane and ship that stand in your way. Basically the same thrill as in the other games in the 1940X series. The arcade version has 38 achievements worth 285 points, which is worth a lot more compared to the Super Graphics port, as it only has 199 points if you exclude its multiplayer subset. Besides clearing all 6 missions, you also have achievements for clearing missions without using any credits, attaining a rank of Major General by the end of mission 3, and clearing the game using no more than 2 continues at the hardest difficulty and fastest bullet speed. Going from one vertical shooter to the next, our next game is Raiden, developed by Seibu Kaihatsu in 1990. In the year 2090, Earth is invaded by extraterrestrials. The World Alliance of Nations has developed a supersonic tank fighter, Raiden, to defend the Earth. You must take control of the experimental fighter to destroy the alien warships that just happen to look like odd variations of typical military tanks and planes with gadgets attached to them. The arcade version has 39 achievements worth 600 points, which is worth a lot more than the TurboGrafx 16 and Atari Jaguar ports. The beat condition asks you to clear all 8 stages, while mastery will involve clearing stages with at least 15 medals, clearing any stage with a max bomb bonus, collecting all 3 fairies in the first loop without dying, clearing the second loop using 3 continues or less, scoring 1 million points before the end of the first loop, and defeating bosses without losing a life or using bombs. Developed by Toplan, who were usually known for shoot-em-ups, Snow Brothers was deliberately designed with the international audience in mind. More specifically, it was made as an opportunity to let the rest of the world know about Japanese culture and the country's considerable contributions to the gaming medium. Snow Brothers is a fixed-screen platform game where players must defeat all enemies across 50 levels. The Snow Brothers use snow as their weapon, obviously, throwing it at the enemies to stun them. When lots of snow is thrown at an enemy, it becomes covered in a flurry and unable to move. These can be rolled into giant snowballs and pushed or kicked into other enemies. If left alone, enemies will eventually defrost and become angry at you. The enemy-filled snowballs are much stronger weapons than the regular handful of snow and are the only effective weapon Nick and Tom have against the bosses. The set for the arcade version has 22 achievements worth 218 points. While it's certainly worth more points than the Game Boy and Mega Drive ports, the NES port, with its set being worth 750 points, is still the most valuable of all versions of Snow Bros on Retro Achievements. Besides beating all stages and defeating the rock bubbles on floor 50, you also have achievements for earning 1,250,000 points, spelling snow for an extra life, completing any floor after Pumpkinhead has spawned, and completing the game with only 1 credit. Known in Japan as Dark Seal, Gate of Doom stood out among other beat-em-ups when it came out in 1990, thanks to its isometric perspective and incorporation of light RPG elements. Originally released in 1990, Gate of Doom is a beat-em-up in a fantasy set, where the goal, as one of the 4 heroes, is to destroy the monsters of darkness, and, using the magic gem and magic crown, they will try to lock the Gate of Doom forever. There are 10 achievements worth 144 points, and the set is pretty bare bones, as one half asks you to clear all 5 stages for the beat condition, while the other half for mastery requires you to do it with a single credit. This one definitely needs a revision, as there's a lot more material to work with for a more robust set. Developed by Kaneko, Airbuster is a fast, side-scrolling shooter where you control a small craft through different levels with many enemies. Every level ends with a boss, and some sections speed up the gameplay, offering fast obstacle courses both horizontally and vertically scrolling. Flying orange pods release many power-ups at once, enhancing the ships with new and more powerful lasers, wingmen, and shields. You can also hold the fire key to charge a blast that removes all enemy bullets from the screen and deals damage to all enemies. With an unforgiving difficulty, every hit is fatal, but the game can be continued from any point as long as there are lives and credits left. Airbuster has 17 achievements worth 175 points, with the beat condition asking you to clear all 6 phases. Other tasks include reaching a score of 168,000 points, increasing your power of your ship to the max, collecting each type of power-up in a single session at least once, and even defeating the boss of Phase 2 by depleting its HP instead of firing. Bloxeed, released in 1990, is essentially Sega's own attempt at a Tetris clone. While the main idea is similar, where you have to drop blocks to form full lines to make them disappear, Bloxeed adds 2 new features to the mix. In fixed intervals, the game adds garbage blocks on the field and bonus blocks where a part of a block is replaced with a number or letter. When clearing it, you're rewarded with power-ups that can be helpful when you're low on space. Bloxeed has 15 achievements worth 100 points, and to beat this one you need to score 200,000 points, while other achievements include clearing 150 lines, getting a good Desune bonus, and activating the special power blocks. Originally released in 1990, this heroic game saw a digital release as part of Capcom's Final Fight Double Impact, released in 2010 for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 through the PlayStation Network and Xbox Live Arcade respectively. In Magic Sword, you climb a tower packed with monsters, with each level acting as a floor of a tower. You can use swords and magic to defeat your foes, both of which can be upgraded with items found in treasure chests or after defeating bosses. During your climb, you can use keys to rescue CPU-controlled prisoners who will fight alongside you for a short time. There are 35 achievements in this set, worth 187 points altogether, though its Super Nintendo counterpart is more valuable, with its set being worth 520 points. To beat this one, you need to clear each floor to make it to the final section of a tower. To master the set, not only you need to obtain both good and bad endings, you also need to take the hidden door on specific floors, clearing the alternate path for floors between 29 and 32 and 41 and 46, having 20 keys or more, and clearing each floor and beating the game on the hardest difficulty, regardless of which ending you choose. Developed by Philco in 1990 and using the Sega System 16 arcade board, Snapper has you control a hungry snake through various levels. It will need to eat all the balls as you grow and avoid colliding with his own body, while avoiding enemies to open an exit to the next level. You can also attack enemies, which is admittedly interesting for a snake clone. There are 11 achievements worth 110 points, and to beat this one, you need to complete all 30 stages. Other achievements include completing the game without attacking or letting the timer run out, eating all 66 items in a bonus round, completing the game with a high score above 320,000 points, and completing the game without using a continue, attacking, or letting the timer run out, all with just 3 lives. For this next game, we have one of several games to come out of the arcade DevJam that was developed for The first on this video is Ghost Pilots, which, despite taking place in World War II, doesn't mention any real countries and takes place in what appears to be a South American jungle, which was not a battlefield in the actual war. Ghost Pilots is an overhead military plane shooter in which you must shoot down fighter jets by either using bullets or bombs. Once you have killed enough fighter jets, you will have to defeat the boss fighter jet in order to continue. After some stages, you must select a route to continue your journey on. The power-ups can be collected that will increase your firepower, and stars can be obtained for extra points. There are 32 achievements worth 171 points, with the beat condition asking you to beat every stage in the game. Other achievements include collecting at least 10 stars on each stage, beating the bosses and upgrading your hydroplane's weapons 4 times respectively, without getting hurt obviously, reaching a score of 200,000 on any stage except the final stage, and beating any level or entire stage with only 1 credit. Recently given a re-release on modern platforms in 2022 by Ratalaika Games, as well as an Evergate release via the Yaleco Arcade 1 cartridge, Avenging Spirit tells the story of a spirit of a man that has been resurrected from the dead using a new machine, after he had been whacked by a group of gangsters who kidnapped his girlfriend and are holding her ransom unless her father turns over his research on ghost energy. In this side-scroller, The main gimmick is that you can possess enemies and use any skill or weapon they have, from some dragon guy that can breathe fire to a hooded mage. The set has 34 achievements worth 223 points, while its Game Boy port is just slightly more valuable at 270 points. The beat condition requires you to beat all 6 stages and attain either ending. Other tasks include defeating bosses of each stage without losing your possessed enemy, as well as clearing stage 1 with the flip screen setting active without continues, as well as defeating bosses while possessing a specific enemy without using a continue or letting the boss self-destruct. Developed by a Spanish outfit, G-LOC, Big Karnak, released in 1991, is one of their earliest games, as well as one of their most well-known. In this side-scroller, you take control of the pharaoh, whose wife had been kidnapped, thus embarking on a quest to rescue her, while fighting mythical beings and deadly animals along the way. Despite being set in ancient Egypt, you will also encounter some anachronistic enemies over the course of your journey. That's because it was a result of Big Karnak's development being a collaborative affair, where everyone involved at G-LOC got to throw their ideas into the mix. There are 28 achievements worth 132 points in this set, with the main beat condition asking you to defeat Osiris in a temple and win the game. Most of the other achievements will only work with 3 or fewer credits used, including boss battles, rescuing slaves, and having up to 4 scepters and swords. On the bright side, at least you get to beat up Karnak in this one. Once again, we have another game that was previously featured on the Saturn DevJam. If you saw my Saturn video, the console port was part of the Arcade Gears series. Naturally, we get to cover the original arcade release. Since I didn't tell you about the game itself when I covered the Arcade Gears release, let me give you a brief refresher. Puli Rula, developed by Taito, is a psychedelic side-scrolling arcade beat-em-up set in the magical world of Radishland. As the story goes, some evil magical entity has stolen the keys of time for the towns in Radishland, freezing time and turning every animal and creature into evil magical contraptions. Only Zack and Mel, empowered with their invented magic sticks, are able to escape the curse and must thread through Radishland, turning all the monsters back into their original form and recovering the keys of time. The original arcade version of Puli Rula has 25 achievements worth 267 points, which is worth a lot less compared to the Saturn version that's worth 456 points on top of its bonus and multiplayer subsets. The beat condition still asks you to complete all 6 rounds, though the mastery also asks you to collect a number of animals in each round, defeating all 40 fish creatures in the bonus scene, freeing a pink elephant from a mysterious door, casting all 6 spells in one session, and completing the game without a single continue. Serving as a sequel to Gate of Doom, Wizard Fire continues the isometric beat-em-up action of the predecessor, but this time the number of playable characters is bumped to 5. Set in the 4th century AD in the Empire of All, where the evil wizard Xenon plans to sacrifice 101 innocent lives to open the Dragon Shrine. With this power, Xenon will raise an army of the undead to conquer the land. So now it is up to one of the 5 heroes to thwart Zelof's plans once and for all. The set for Wizard Fire has 15 achievements worth 195 points, with the beat condition requiring you to complete all 5 stages. Other challenges include completing the game while solely playing as each of the 5 heroes, as well as unique tasks for stages 1 through 4. We now move to our next Neo Geo title in this video, this time being a third-party release. Developed by Visco Corporation in 1992, Andro Dunos has you fighting your way through 7 stages in this horizontally scrolling game, and defeat the boss at the end of each one. You start the game with 4 main weapons, which you can switch with a click of a button. Some of these weapons are more powerful than others. You can also fire off a charged shot if your main weapon level is 2 or greater, simply by holding down the fire button for about 2 seconds. Using charged shots can do more damage to an enemy ship, but be careful, if you lose a life, you will lose 1 power level from all 4 weapons. Outside the Neo Geo CD release that came out the following year, the only other way to play Andro Dunos at home today via official means is through the Visco collection from Cubite Interactive and Pixel Heart. Interestingly, it actually managed to receive a sequel for PC, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch and 3DS in 2022, 3 decades after the original game. Andro Dunos has 32 achievements worth 237 points, with the beat condition asking you to clear all 8 stages. But if you want to master it, you'll have to get 750,000 points, achieving a perfect bonus on each stage with no more than 3 continues, and beating the game with no more than 5 continues. Based on the titular animated TV series, Bucky O'Hare follows the basic beat-em-up formula with characters using their fists in close combat, though they also have guns with unlimited ammo to shoot enemies. Released in the same year as the NES platformer, both developed by Konami, the arcade game is often overshadowed by its far better known 8-bit counterpart. This one has 55 achievements worth 356 points, with the beat condition asking you to complete all 8 stages. Other tasks include defeating bosses without taking damage or using bombs, beating the game using only Blinky, Bucky, Jenny, and Duck respectively, beating the game with just 1 credit, as well as various challenges for each stage. Released in 1992 by Hongxi Enterprise Taiwan and Gamtech, yes, the same company as Magic Girl that was part of a Pico Interactive Collection 1 cartridge on Evercade, Street Fighter II Rainbow Edition is a hack of a Champion Edition, and it's notable for modifying many gameplay aspects, the most noticeable being the ability to transform into other characters and being able to pull off special moves in mid-air. Among the modifications, we have more characters being able to perform Hadoukens, with E Honda being able to pull these off when performing his Hyakuretsu Harite. Zangief moves noticeably faster in this hack, and much more. Apparently, the Rainbow Edition may be one of the most important hacks / bootlegs in gaming history, as it was one of the hacks that led Capcom to create the Street Fighter II Turbo Hyper Fighting update that same year. This hack contains 57 achievements worth 256 points, and like other Street Fighter II versions, you just need to finish the game with any character to get the beaten status. Other achievements also include beating the game with each character without ever changing, performing or finishing a round with specific moves, beating the game with 1 credit on hard, as well as using at least 1 special from each fighter in a single round. Now, there was a rather strange point in arcade history where some games were only available to play at places like pubs or bars. If a pub didn't offer slot machines, video poker, or a golden tee golf cabinet, it would have had a clone of a popular game which will either reward the player with photos of naked ladies or just show them outright during gameplay, which is clearly meant to attract adults. I'd rather go with Golden Tee Golf, thank you very much. Developed by DR Korea, this column's clone, Hexa, didn't have that much recorded history online, though from what I can gather, it was supposedly released in 1992. As I mentioned earlier, this was one of the adult arcade games I was talking about, as during gameplay the background would change into nude images. Thankfully, DR Korea had the decency to let you disable the naughty pics via DIP switch, because, well, I can't say the same about the other adult game that got a set as part of the arcade DevJam. This one has 9 achievements worth 36 points, and all achievements require you to set the number of starting pobbies to 2. To beat this one, you need to score 16,000 points. Other tasks include making a combo that scores at least 16,000 points at once without rolling over the score, reaching 32,000 points, and scoring 4,000 points without using any pobbies. And no, I still don't know what a pobby is either. Now, I have talked about In the Hunt before as part of a Saturn DevJam, so I believe it'll be a good time to provide a little bit of a history lesson. Besides being considered a precursor to the Metal Slug series, In the Hunt came to be when designer Kazuma Kujo was inspired by the sound of a water fountain of all things, as well as a desire to buck the trends of the shoot-'em-up genre such as forced scrolling and sci-fi settings, resulting in one of ERAM's most visually striking games. The arcade version has 31 achievements worth 400 points. It's worth a bit less than the Saturn version, but it does have more achievements in comparison. Besides clearing all 6 stages, you have achievements for completing both endings, collecting 100 treasure balls for an extra life, beating bosses without losing a life, scoring 900,000 points, maximizing the power of torpedoes and missiles, and more. Developed by Sega's AM1 R&D division, later known as WoW Entertainment, Alien 3: The Gun is a rail shooter that's loosely based on the third film in the original Alien trilogy. The arcade cabinet's controller is a pivoting pulse rifle with a trigger and a bomb button. Pulling the trigger fires the normal shot, which has to charge if held down for too long, while the bomb button will throw a limited use bomb that kills every alien on screen. Each of the game's 6 levels are played in sequence, but levels 3, 4, and 5 give you a choice of 2 different paths for the rest of that level. Every level tasks you with wading through swarms of xenomorphs of all breeds and maturities, and each level ends with a fight against a stronger boss enemy. A handful of automated robotic defense enemies are scattered throughout the game as well. Levels 3, 4, and 5 also introduce escaping prisoners who, if they survive, will restore your health. There are 15 achievements worth 57 points, and there are 6 stages to play through. Other achievements for mastery include making through all 6 stages with only 1 credit, and reaching the rank of Brigadier General. Developed by Kusu Kagaku Corp and published by Sunsoft, Oshi Puzzle wa Irimasen ka, or Triple Fun in its English bootleg version, is a party game that consists of 3 game modes with 4 different genres of puzzles: crosswords, spot the difference, crowd searching in the vein of Where's Waldo, and jigsaw puzzles. This one has 14 achievements worth 95 points, and there are 5 stages to beat. Besides completing each type of puzzle, you also have to complete a find out puzzle, a hide puzzle, and a jigsaw puzzle without making any mistakes or using any credits to extend the timer. Released 3 years after the original, Raiden II brings more shooting action for this DevJam. However, unlike its predecessor, which was ported to a huge amount of platforms from the TurboGrafx 16 in 1991 to even the Atari Lynx in 1997, the only home release the sequel got was the Japanese exclusive Windows 95 conversion. Though both games did get bundled via the Raiden Project compilation for the PlayStation, which was released as part of the system's North American launch lineup. Raiden 2 has 41 achievements worth 680 points, lasting 8 stages. Mastering this one will likely involve clearing all stages with no continues, fully upgrading weapons and missiles, collecting medals in the first loop with 3 continues or less, defeating bosses using specific weapons without losing a life, and scoring 1 million points before the end of a first loop. As our next Capcom title for your amusement, Eco Fighters, known in Japan as Ultimate Ecology, is a shoot-'em-up where you control an airplane with a rotating gun and shoot various enemies. The gun can rotate in 360 degrees, which can allow for shooting backwards. As the name implies, this game has an eco-friendly theme. You fight against various polluters. Interestingly, Eco Fighters was originally concepted not by a professional at Capcom, but by a lucky gamer who won a contest in Japan. This one has 31 achievements worth 318 points, lasting 7 levels in total. What achievements are available for mastery include beating the game in the hardest difficulty, killing 1000 enemies in a single session, in the name of nature, killing 200 enemies with each of the 4 weapons, obtaining 1 million points, as well as finishing the game with just 1 credit. While the original Bomb Jack arcade game was developed by Tecmo themselves, it's easy to forget that there was an arcade sequel that wasn't made by the same studio, but rather by NMK. While the main premise remains the same, the main twist in Bomb Jack Twin is the fact that 2 players can now play simultaneously, hence the name. It recently saw a modern re-release via Arcade Archives on PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch, with the usual stuff, though it also received an Arcade Archives 2 version for PlayStation 5, Switch 2, and Xbox Series X and S, which also adds an additional time attack mode. Bomb Jack Twin has 25 achievements worth 266 points, with the beat condition requiring you to complete round 13. What else this set has to offer includes achieving 2 million points, scoring 10,000 points from a single enemy, increasing the multiplayer to 5, finishing a bonus stage with 1 second remaining on a counter, and completing the first 9 rounds in a single credit on the hardest difficulty. Released a year after the original, Mach Breakers Newman Athletics 2 continues the premise of a futuristic sporting competition. There are various events to be found, such as super sprinting, super long jumps, dragon pulling, and even an event where you have to catch a nuclear missile and hurl it as far away from the event as they can. There are 45 achievements worth 475 points, with the main beat condition asking you to qualify during the ground spike event. The rest of the achievements ask you to qualify in all events in medium difficulty, with each character of course, using only 1 credit and winning the game on very hard. Developed by ABM and Gekas, which happens to be the only game they ever made, the oddly named Blomby Car plays similarly to Visco's Neo Drift Out and Galco's World Rally Championship, as you have to complete races within a time limit while avoiding hazards. Blomby Car was only released as a conversion kit, and it seems to have had a limited production run, which might explain its obscurity. There are 14 achievements worth 175 points, with the main goal for the beat condition is to complete each of the 4 legs of a race, from Paris to Dakar, on normal difficulty. Besides the obvious time trial stuff, you also have achievements for completing each leg of a race without crashing, maintaining top speed of 200 km per hour for more than 15 seconds, and completing all 4 legs with just 1 credit. Who doesn't love elimination platformers, eh? That's why we get to take a look at another one, this time being another particularly obscure game in form of Metal Saver. Playing as either martial artist Hanbit or girl with guns Nare, the main task is, as always, to take out all enemies on each level and collect bonuses, as well as fight bosses every few stages. And like Blomby Car, this is another example where it was a developer's one and only game. In this case, First Amusement. With 21 achievements worth 310 points, this one has 5 worlds to clear. Other achievements include finishing the game by only playing as either Hanbit or Nare using no more than 3 lives, defeating bosses without getting hit, reaching a score of 1.5 million points, and completing the game without dying. Target Hits is the second Galco arcade game to receive a set as part of the Arcade DevJam. But unlike Big Karnak, this one didn't see a modern re-release on neither Antstream or Evercade. Target Hits is a shooting practice light gun game where it features 3 fixed screen games with several scenes for each one: shooting range, desert chariots, and track wagons. There are 16 achievements worth 145 points, and to beat this one you need to clear 6 scenes of each game. Besides that, you also have achievements for completing said games without continues and getting a perfect on any bonus round in said games. Known as Buster Buddies, Pang 3 is the 3rd game in the Mitchell Corporation's Bubble Popping series. Pang 3 has you embark on a quest to recover stolen paintings and bring them to the private art gallery. Rather than playing as one of the 2 world-traveling kids or explorers like we've seen in the past 2 games, you get to play as one of the 4 characters: Don Tacos, who can shoot 2 harpoons, Pink Leopard, who is immune to enemies and hazards, Captain Hog, whose power wire can stick to the surface to pop bubbles that touch it, and Sheila the Thief, who can shoot diagonally and vertically. Another interesting thing to note is that the game's characters are animated using pre-rendered sprites, the same technique that Rare used for their own arcade game, Killer Instinct. This one has 73 achievements worth 755 points, with the beat condition asking you to complete all 50 stages on normal mode. Other achievements include beating all 10 stages of expert mode, destroying a star balloon on level 99 of Panic Mode, completing Beginner's Mode without losing a life, collecting food and 1-ups in each stage, and completing Expert Mode without using a Continue. Developed by Takara and published by Sammy Industries, Sokonuke Tyson game is yet another obscurity to get a set as part of the arcade DevJam, as it's nowhere to be found on neither Moby Games and Museum of a Game. From what I can gather, you must compete in simple yet strange events such as inflating balloons, morphing into dragons, etc., while at the same time protecting your partner from harmless pain inducers such as razor-sharp buzzsaws and bombs. Released exclusively in Japan in July of 1995, the game's title apparently translates as Bottomless War Game. This one has 14 achievements worth 38 points, and to actually get any of the endings, you need to beat the game twice, since the first beat is something of a practice round. Besides clearing each of the breaks, you also have achievements for clearing stages without letting the opponent win a round and beating the game with a single credit. Putting the obscurities on the back burner, we return to the world of Capcom with a 2D fighting game, Red Earth. Known in Japan as Warzerd, it takes place in an alternative 14th century or a post-apocalyptic 1999, depending on the region. As the first game to employ Capcom's CP System 3 arcade board, which is roughly 4 times as powerful as the old CP System 2 board, the gameplay is similar to the Street Fighter series, though there are some significant differences, like the enemy character having a much longer life gauge than the player, as well as fatalities, a password system, and experience points. This set has 35 achievements worth 324 points, with the beat condition simply asking you to complete the game as any character, regardless of which ending you get. Other achievements include completing the game on the hardest difficulty, completing the game on a level 1 or level 32 run in medium difficulty, using the special attacks of each character, and getting a perfect bonus against the boss. For our next game, we have Logic Pro, a nonogram puzzle that was released in arcades. Why? Because why not? Logic Pro has 13 achievements worth 68 points, and all you need to do to beat this is to clear puzzles 1 to 8 and obtain any of the 10 endings. Though there are also achievements for clearing arcade mode without using any hints, and with just 1 credit on a hardest difficulty. Developed by Face, our next game is Money Puzzle Exchanger, or Money Idol Exchanger in its Japanese release. The best way to describe this game is essentially Magical Drop, but with coins. You can move the mini character at the bottom of the screen left or right, grab coins and drop them somewhere else. There are 6 types of coins: 1, 5, 10, 50, 100 and 500. The goal is to form connecting groups of coins. Coins are combined vertically and or horizontally to form higher valued coins. For example, if you put 5 1 coins together, they will disappear and form one 5 coin. 2 5s make one 10, 5 10s make one 50, etc. 2 500 coins put together just disappear and give you 1000 points. This set has 14 achievements worth 105 points, and to beat this one, you need to win the versus computer mode while only playing as Exchanger and Death Miser respectively. Other challenges include beating the CPU in under 40 seconds, winning versus computer without losing once, surviving for 5 minutes and scoring 100k in solo play, as well as reaching a coin chain of 5. Speaking of magical drop, that's exactly what's next on this very video. As the third installment in the series, Magical Drop 3, released in 1997, follows the same formula as the first two games, as you throw marbles up on a screen into the cluster of multicolored marbles, rocks and crystals. The goal is to get 3 or more of the same color to remove marbles, but you can also grab more than one at a time to create long chain combos and gain better special blocks at the top of the screen. This entry in the series was ported to the Saturn and PlayStation that same year, with the latter version also coming with a bonus of including the first magical drop on a separate disc for the PAL release. Magical Drop 3 has 54 achievements worth 683 points, and to beat this one, you need to complete survival mode on easy, as well as winning both challenge mode and magical journey on normal or hard difficulty. However, it has to be done with every single character, so don't expect beating any of the latter modes with the full and call it a day. The other achievements include winning against Moon, Hanged Man and Black Pierrot in challenge mode, winning challenge mode and magical journey with a single continue, reaching level 5 on survival mode in hard difficulty, as well as reaching a chain reaction of 15. Primarily known for making shoot 'em ups, Cave, the studio behind the Donpachi and Death Smile series, took a small break from bullet hell action at some point in 1998 so they can try a different genre for a bit of a change of pace. Puzzle Uo Poko was their answer to bubble matching puzzle games. As something of a mix between pachinko and falling block puzzles, the playfield is full of balls of various colors, and on the left side of the screen, the player has a chute loaded with balls of their own. Pulling back on the joystick pulls back the spring in a chute, and letting go lets the ball fly into the playfield. If 3 balls of the same color come into contact, they disappear, and as balls disappear, gravity will cause balls higher up to tumble down. To make gameplay more complicated are various special kinds of balls. These include glass balls, which shatter if your balls hit them dead on, air bubbles, which escape toward the surface when players expose holes in the layers of balls above them, and shell balls, which can't be comboed with until a combo is performed adjacent to them. In each stage, the goal is to clear the playfield of all the colored balls. And by the way, to emphasize the fact that the game is played entirely with the joystick, using a single button only in menus, Puzzle Uo Poko came with a special cat's paw joystick ball tops that can replace the regular ball top on a standard arcade joystick. The set for this underappreciated puzzle game has 23 achievements worth 286 points, and the beat condition asks you to clear 30 stages. Other tasks include clearing stages with specific conditions, as well as completing all stages from the beginning without any continues whatsoever. If you ever wondered where PopCap Games, the studio behind Peggle, Bejeweled and Plants vs. Zombies, got their inspiration for Zuma and Zuma's Revenge, this arcade game is where it all started. Better known by its PlayStation and Game Boy Color versions as Ballistic, Puzzloop is a puzzle game in which you must place 3 patterned balls next to each other in order to clear them. It is somewhat similar to Puyo Puyo in this respect, except it places you in the center of a screen shooting the balls outward. The main modes include Panic Mode and Stage Mode. In panic mode, a constant string of balls appear and you must keep destroying similar balls to keep the string short and prevent it from shaking around and reaching the middle of a screen. While stage mode, while similar to panic mode, is set up with individual levels, so there are rest periods instead of being non-stop constant action. There are 16 achievements worth 352 points, with the beat condition asking you to clear stage 5-5 in stage mode and reaching level 100 in panic mode, the latter of which is already the hardest achievement in this game. Other tasks include clearing stage mode with continuous disabled, getting a chain of 10 or more, as well as clearing stage mode and level 50 in panic mode on the most difficult difficulty. Developed by Yoon Sung in 1998, Bomb Kick is another elimination platformer, but this time around you use bombs to get rid of enemies. What makes this one stand out from the rest of the elimination platformers, or any other arcade game from the DevJam for that matter, is the sheer amount of assets stolen from other games and blatant copyright infringements. It's bad enough that one of the worlds stole the BadLands background from Rayman, while stage 3 music sounds suspiciously like Mario, but the icing on the cake is Aladdin World, complete with the exact same genie from the Disney film as the boss. How on earth did Yoon Sung get away with all this without getting sued by Ubisoft or Disney for the blatant act of copyright thievery is a real mystery. With 17 achievements worth 155 points, beating this set requires you to complete the game as either Toto, Jenny, or Mola. Other achievements include beating the game on the hardest difficulty, scoring at least 123,000 points, and defeating bosses without getting hit. Based on a Japanese manga and anime of the same name, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure – Heritage for the Future, or simply JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in the West, was developed by Capcom in 1999. Another game on the video to be released on the CP System 3, it combines Capcom's anime-inspired graphics with the colorful characters and events of Hirohiko Araki's creation, resulting in a highly stylized and detailed visual style. It features many of the gameplay mechanics you'd expect from Capcom's fighting games, such as the use of power gauges for super moves. What makes this one unique among Capcom fighters is stand mode, where a character's stand can be summoned or dismissed at will by you, resulting in variations in the character's move list and abilities. And even though its difficulty meant I had my arse handed to me, I must admit that Capcom really knocked it out of the park with that one. This bizarre adventure has 69 achievements worth 580 points, with the main task is to clear story mode as any character on difficulty 2 or higher. Other challenges include clearing story mode on difficulty 8 without continues, and clearing challenge mode with each character. Sometime after the DevJam, it received a Crusader Crusher subset with 44 achievements worth 420 points, and its achievements involve clearing challenge mode on difficulty 8 with each character, as well as clearing story mode without losing a round in the same difficulty. Released in 1999 and developed by Yumekobo and Saurus, Prehistoric Isle 2 is a continuation of SNK's pre-Neo Geo shoot-'em up Prehistoric Isle in 1930. Using a similar pre-rendered graphic style to Polestar, it's a pretty standard dynamic shoot 'em up where you shoot dangerous dinosaurs and sometimes rescue people. There are 27 achievements worth 380 points, and there are 6 stages to get through. Achievements for mastery include completing challenges on the highest difficulty and without losing a life, saving all the civilians on stages 1 through 5, as well as completing the game without dying once. Developed by Takumi, Crusher Mako-chan is a quasi-gambling or medal game where you will go on different stage routes that alter the difficulty and let you earn more or less medals as you progress. But really, because this is a gambling game, literally everything is luck based, and the game can seem very rigged as a result. Sometimes, without even getting the attack up item, you can crush an obstacle with time to spare, or even with attack up, there are times where you still lose if you get the item late. Crusher Mako-chan is basically risk versus reward, as you have 2 opportunities to cash out, or you can attempt the 3rd and final stage, which is always the same regardless of the first 2 stages you play. At the end of the day, Crusher Mako-chan is pretty much like Lotto Fun, as it's completely RNG heavy, requiring some insane luck on this one. This one has 7 achievements worth 45 points, with the beat condition asking you to clear all 3 stages. The other achievements include pulling off 3 last chance desperation moves and cashing out 51 medals or more at the end of the game. Remember when I said about the other adult game to come out of the arcade DevJam? This next game is the one I was referring to. Like Hexa, this was clearly trying to attract adults at a pub, as it just shows the nude pictures are right in the background at all times. Unlike Hexa, it looks like the DIP switch settings only allow for partial nudity. Actually, I have an idea. Just give me a second. Okay, that ought to do it. Well, a job well done, if I do say so myself. Now, as I was saying, Funny Bubble, developed by Inchang Electronic in 1999, is a clear-as-day clone of Mitchell Corporation's Puzzloop we looked at earlier. There were 2 versions of this game, one that's published by Inchang Electronic themselves, and one by Comad, a South Korean company who released other adult arcade games during the same period, most of them being clones of other games. Games like the Columns clone Las Vegas Girl and Kicks ripoffs Fantasia 2 and Supermodel 2. And if they weren't making adult games, they made some pretty mild ones like Bouncing Balls, which happens to be using Looney Tunes characters without any permission from Warner Brothers, and Beat Player 2000, which is clearly a knockoff of Konami's Beat Mania. There are 9 achievements worth 69 points, and to beat this one you need to clear stage mode on any difficulty. The other achievements include achieving a chain of 10 and clearing levels 30 and 60 in level mode. For the next game, we have the last Visco title to get a set as part of a DevJam, as well as another game that's part of a Visco collection. At the same time, it's also the last appearance of a Neo Geo game on this DevJam video. Serving as a sequel to Battle Flip Shot, Bang Beat is a high-speed battle Pong like its predecessor, but now with a new condition for knocking out the opponent. Each player's goal zone is protected by an impenetrable laser field, which stays in place until player takes out all of the stars in front of it by hitting them with the ball. Only then can the player win the match by knocking the ball into the opponent's goal zone. This adds a new comeback mechanism, letting even players who have lost all their stars to win the match. Bang Beat has 17 achievements worth 170 points, with the beat condition asking you to win the championship while only playing as one of the 7 characters. Other challenges include winning against Haynes II and Takuzo, winning a round with both barriers turned off, winning a round in less than 10 seconds, as well as winning the championship without losing any set or round. Released 3 years after the original, Puzzloop 2 keeps the marble popping action going, but this time with a cutesy pop horror art style and an actual story. In addition to the standard stage, panic and versus modes, Puzzloop 2 introduces Power Mode, a variation of Panic Mode that includes new larger pieces called Power Balls. But unlike its predecessor, Puzzloop 2 was released exclusively in arcades, meaning the game never saw a home release even to this day. The set for Puzzloop 2 has 27 achievements worth 440 points, with the beat condition asking you to clear Stage 5I. Other tasks include beating any of the stages without dying and with all gems in each level, clearing the target goal of 3000 balls in Power Mode, and reaching level 100 in Panic Mode. Now, up to this point, many arcade games you saw can be played on RetroAch or RA-libretro using the Final Burn Neo core. But for the next few games, these will require the use of Flycast, either via standalone emulator or a RetroAch core. The games you'll be seeing used the following arcade boards: Naomi, Naomi 2, and Sammy Atomi's Wave, all of which use the same hardware as the Sega Dreamcast. The first of the 2 Naomi 2 arcade games to get a set for the DevJam is Wild Riders, released in 2001. Developed by WoW Entertainment, the same studio as Alien Free the Gun we looked at earlier, Wild Riders is a cel-shaded arcade driving game in which you play as one of the 2 motorcycle gang members as you drive in a third-person over-the-shoulder view, striving to escape from the police pursuit by evading or smashing through various obstacles on their vehicle. I've actually beaten this game as part of the 75 years of F1 R-Racing event on RetroAchievements, since it was one of the featured games that gave you a checkered flag for beating or mastering a listed game. While I didn't get the Michael Schumacher tier, I was able to get the minimum of 10 points for the Max Verstappen tier, given I've beaten some of the other listed games, including Joyrider, Top Gear Pocket 2, RG Racer, the Nintendo DS version of Cartoon Network Racing, and the Nintendo 64 version of Hot Wheels Turbo Racing. With 12 achievements worth 100 points, you just need to make it to the end to beat this one. Other challenges include making it to each area without crashing, achieving a lead of 999 meters after being under 50 meters, achieving a multiplier of 25 times or higher, scoring 500,000 points, and pulling a wheelie for an accumulated time of 1 minute without crashing. As the only DevJam set for a game released for the original Naomi, Azumanga Daioh Puzzle Bubble is a spin-off of the Puzzle Bubble series, starring characters from the titular manga and anime. Developed by Moss, the gameplay is the same as expected from the Puzzle Bubble series, but it does have a story mode where your objective is to survive 6 stages of bubble popping mayhem to reach the final encounter with Miss Yukari, the girl's blissfully insane English teacher. with 99 achievements worth 376 points. Beating this set requires you to complete both school and after-school courses in puzzle mode and completing the CPU battle mode. Other challenges include completing each course and CPU battle as every character, as well as beating CPU battle mode using 2 continues or less. Next up is one of the 2 games on the Arcade DevJam for the Sammy Atomies wave, in the form of Guilty Gear X version 1.5. Released in 2003, this is an updated version of Guilty Gear X, where its main changes include some character balancing and adding moves to make it similar to Guilty Gear XX, which was released for Naomi arcades and PlayStation 2 a year before. Unlike the enhanced PlayStation 2 version, Guilty Gear X Plus, the 1.5 update lacks the enhanced story mode nor the 2 characters from the very first Guilty Gear. With 42 achievements worth 370 points, you need to complete duo mode as each of the 16 playable characters to earn the beaten credit. You also have achievements for doing the same thing on Maniac difficulty, as well as some achievements related to survival mode. The other Naomi 2 game to get a set for the DevJam is Initial D Arcade Stage version 3. Released in 2004, this is a third entry in the Initial D Arcade Stage racing game series, which itself is based on the popular manga and anime franchise. The new additions in version 3 include a revised handling model that provides more nuanced vehicle control and improved realism, especially in how cars respond to drifting and road surfaces, 2 new mountain passes, both adapted from Initial D Special Stage, which was the enhanced PlayStation 2 port of version 2, 3 new rivals, and bumping the total number of playable vehicles to over 30. Version 3 has 70 achievements worth 514 points, with the beat condition requiring you to beat every opponent and become the greatest racer in Kanto in the Legend of a Street mode. Other achievements include time trial challenges, defeating all rivals on each track, reaching Bunta level 5 on each track, winning a race with manual transmission, as well as other tidbits like overtaking a rival by dropping a wheel into a drainage ditch, and completing Athena downhill without spilling any water. Our second Atomies wave set for the Arcade DevJam is YY Drive. Part of a Sammy family series, YY Drive is one of the more obscure Atomies wave titles, as there's barely any information on this game online. No entry on Moby Games, no entry on SegaRetro.org, not even an entry on GameFAQs. It does at least have an entry on IGDB though. The general idea is that 2 toy cars compete to see who can collect most items around a scattered room before the time runs out. YY Drive is also the easiest of all Atomies wave sets, and pretty much the Arcade DevJam as a whole, with just 7 achievements worth 27 points. All you need to do, besides winning a match, is to win without losing any rounds. Winning a round while dragging at least 10 objects, winning a match without letting the opponents earn any points at the end of each round, turning off the lights 3 times in a single round, winning a match while using a classic card type, and finishing a match that results in a draw. For our final game on the Arcade DevJam, we have a game that is somewhat modern compared to what we saw. The original version of Death Smiles first came out in late 2007, which fell under the bullet hell category of a shoot 'em up. With heavy occult and gothic influences, it eventually made it to other platforms, from the Xbox 360 port in 2009 to the compilation of both the original and its sequel in 2021 by City Connection. What we have here is a special version of Death Smiles from 2008, which only saw a very limited run of 200 units in Japan. Known as Mega Black Label, this version added Sakura as a playable character, as well as the Crystal Shrine stage, scoring changes, and a level 999 difficulty level. Guess we're really ending this video with a bang, as this set has 61 achievements worth a whopping 999 points, making it the most valuable of all the arcade DevJam sets. Though the honor for the most valuable arcade set as a whole still goes to Tetris the Absolute, the Grandmaster 2 Plus, with it being worth a massive 1863 points. To beat this set, you need to clear the game as either Sakura, Windia, Casper, Follett, or Rosa, regardless of which ending you choose. Other achievements include clearing stages without taking damage, scoring 2 billion points, activating Fever Mode by reaching a value of 100,000 points, and more. Those who are aiming to master this set, beware the Crazed Warden achievement, as it asks you to defeat Bloody Jitterbug while playing the stage final on level 999. No wonder there aren't any masteries for this one.